So we will get started today with the Mangalacharan prayers first. So for that purposes, I am going to start the recording on our free conference HD, and I am also going to mute
All participants
everybody.
are muted and they can unmute themselves. The recording has started.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagada Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagada Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. So welcome once again to our class, and I saw Varshana Mataji has joined us while we were praying on Zoom call, and let's see who else do we have additional on our audio call. So we have now new Sonal Jariwala Mataji has joined us, Dandat Pranam, and also Preeti Radhika Mataji. So Dandats to both of you.
All participants are unmuted. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So we will get started with Bhagavad-gita, and we are doing the 6th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, and today's verse is verse number 39, I think. Let me just bring that verse up and see. Okay, yes, that's the one it is, looks like. And I'm going to send you the link, and if you can confirm that you got the link, that will help me with going with the class today.
Yes.
You got that? Okay, wonderful. And for those of you who are joining on the Facebook, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And I am going to start sharing the link also with you on Facebook so that you can know what it is. So Anshu Prabhu and Prana Gopika Mataji, thank you so much for joining the call here. And we are doing verse number 39 from the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So here, without much ado, let's get going. So I'll start with a quick recap of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is titled Dhyan Yoga. And so Krishna discusses Ashtanga Yoga in some sort of a detail here, giving some of the gory details, so to speak. And he establishes that this is actually not a path that is very practical to use. And actually one should not follow it, rather reject it and then take to the Bhakti Yoga part. So we haven't yet come to that part of chapter number 6, but that's what it happens in the 6th. So a little bit of the Ashtanga Yoga was mentioned in the 5th chapter, kind of to set the scene, where they were talking about how you control your senses, close your eyes, etc., look at the tip of the nose. So those kind of things were mentioned in chapter 5 also. And then here in this particular chapter, actually it opens here with Arjuna, asking about, should I do work or should I not do work? And then Krishna talks about how when one can advance in yoga by doing work, but being detached to the results of the work. And in that context, we heard about about Nishkam yoga, Sakam yoga, like that, and karma, vikarma, and akarma, also like that. Then we also talked about the various stages of yoga, and it actually started with the question from Arjuna, and Arjuna is very good at asking questions, and so he's asking that question that, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to give up work, or am I supposed to continue to work? So that's the question that he has in his mind. And so Krishna is telling us that, you should work, especially if you are a junior, right? You are not that much advanced in yoga. When you reach the perfection of yoga, which is complete samadhi, you might, decide to give up work. But again, he said that people who reach that stage do not usually give up doing the regular work, because they try to set an example for others. Because whatever a great man does, the common men are going to follow that. And then, he continues on talking about the stages of yoga, how one can reach the state by, where you should sit, what sort of a place you should go to, what you should be practicing in your daily life, where should you put your asana, how you should place your eyes, and so on and so forth. So he gives them all the step-by-step approach. And then as a person advances in yoga, there was, Krishna had mentioned that a person tries to see things equally, because he's seeing Krishna in everybody, as the super soul in everybody's heart. He sees that. So when he sees that, he starts doing two things. One is that on an impersonal scale, he starts to see things the same, which basically means that whether it's a piece of gold, or whether it is a stone, whether it's a pebble, a big boulder, he doesn't see any difference in them. He sees God in them as well. Then, of course, then he also starts seeing the personal aspects of things to be the same. And we come across, we know, Shuni Chaiva Shopakecha Pandita Samadarshana from previous readings. And here also, the person in reaching, high levels of yoga advancement, that person will see an honest well-wisher, a friend, an enemy, a mediator, a pious, a sinful, a devotee. They will see all of them with the same eyes. And the same vision, because he sees the Lord in everybody. So people like these are at a very high level of devotional service. They are actually called Uttamadhikaris. And Uttamadhikaris are not able to preach. And the reason Uttamadhikaris are not able to preach is because they see everything as equal. A person is good, a person is bad. They don't see anything wrong with that, because they're saying, well, it's just the body. It's just the body, and you are not the body. So why you should care, right? So for them to able to preach, for anybody to be able to preach, they have to make a distinction between good and bad. And that's why the Uttamadhikaris, for the purposes of preaching, will come down to the level of a Madhyamadhikari, in the sense that not in the regulative practices, but in the sense of the vision that they will then use. And their vision will be discriminatory vision, where they will say, okay, this is bad, this is good. This person is doing bad, so he needs to be preached, right? Like that. So they will do that. And then, of course, Krishna had talked about the samadhi, where a person is completely engaged in thoughts of Krishna, doesn't think of anybody else other than Krishna. And this is all very wonderful. And once he gets to that stage, he gets, peace from within, and doesn't want to leave that stage. He finds, there's nothing better than this. And all that you have to do is to control your mind. And then Arjuna then, starts questioning that. And he says, questioning in the sense that, not that he's saying that Krishna, what you're saying is wrong. He has a very right way of questioning, but he says that what you're saying is actually difficult to do. And then, we come across a very famous verse, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna, pramati balvadranam, tasyaham nigraham manye vayur eva sudushkatam, right? So, so it is, and we had come with the acronym called SORT, right? So it's stubborn, obstinate, and like that. And so he said it's very difficult for us to control that. So how do I go and control it? And then Krishna said that yes, Krishna accepts that, and he said yes. It is difficult. I know it's difficult to control the mind, but through suitable practice and detachment from material objects, you will be able to control your mind. And then Arjuna has another doubt. So he asks this question that, what happens if a person starts doing devotional service, but is not able to achieve to Krishna and not able to achieve the goal of devotional service in this lifetime? What does it happen? And then last week, we were talking about his concern that does he perish like a riven cloud? Like when a cloud, small cloud doesn't go and join a bigger one, then it gets scattered all over the sky because of the winds that come. His question was that, what does it happen? He asked that, and today he will continue along that particular thought process in verse number 39, which I hope that all of you have got in front of you now. And I'd also like to welcome Archana Mataji, Chitra Mataji, Dheer Madhavi Mataji. Thank you for joining us here. And Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranams. Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranams. Okay, so let's go to our verse of today, 6.39 here. Etan me samshayam Krishna chetum arhasya sheshataha tvad anya samsayasyasya chetana hi upapadyate. Etan me samshayam Krishna chetum arhasya asheshataha tvad anya samsayasyasya chetana hi upapadyate. So then the synonyms. Etad, this is, me, my, samshayam, doubt, Krishna, O Krishna, chetum, to dispel, arhasi, you are requested, asheshataha, completely, tvat, than you, anyaha, other, samshayasya, of the doubt, asya, this, cheta, remover, na, never, he, certainly, upapadyate, is to be found. Okay? So here, let's look at the translation. This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. So my question to you is, what is the doubt that Arjuna has?
That somebody who falls down from spiritual life and also doesn't endeavor
Mind is uncontrollable.
to lose everything.
Yes, good, Preeti Radhika, right? That if a person is unsuccessful in spiritual life, then what happens to his all the endeavors that he had done here, and Krishna had outlined a very nice routine for him, right? That you have to follow celibacy, you have to sleep properly, you have to eat properly, you have to go to a proper place, you have to sit in a proper posture. He has told him so many things to do. And after doing all that and then giving up all the sense gratificatory items, what happens, right? So that is what his doubt is. So let's go back and to our favorite practice, which is look at the synonyms. And there are some very key words here. Okay. So what is the meaning? What is doubt called in Sanskrit? Samshayam. Okay. And then if you want to dispel a doubt, what would you say? Chetum. Chetum. Very good. And then there are various ways in which you can dispel a thought. Like if I've got 600 doubts in my mind and then you take care of 50 of them, then that's not good, right? If doubts have to be removed, all of them have to be removed, because one doubt left, it will continue to nag me again and again. So if I want to completely remove the doubts, what will be the word you will use? Completely.
Oh,
Asheshata, right? Asheshata. So shesh means when we were young and we were learning mathematics and somebody was teaching you mathematics in Hindi, they will say, 4 में से 2 निकालो तो क्या शेष बचता है? Shesh means remaining, right? Ashesh is the opposite of that, right? If you add a before it, it becomes the opposite. So ashesh means nothing is remaining. So when nothing is remaining means all complete, right? The whole thing, you've taken care of everything. So he's taking care of every doubt, right? Like that. And so he's addressing, how is he addressing Krishna?
Oh Krishna.
Oh Krishna. So that's the name he's using for Krishna. How does he request him? Right? See, he's requesting him to clear his doubts. So how does he request? What word does he? Arhasi. Arhasi means to request. Okay. And he's requesting Krishna, right? Because other than Krishna, there is no one, you can find nobody else other than Krishna who can dispel these kind of doubts that are there in your mind. So what is the meaning of finding, or can be found? No one can be found other than Krishna. What's the word for that?
Upadate.
Upapadyate, right? So arhasi means request, right? And to remove the doubts means Chitam. Very good, right? And what is a doubt? Samshaya is a doubt. Yes, very good. Okay, good. So I'd like to welcome Divyangi Mataji also on the call here. And of course, we have Varshana Mataji with us on the Zoom call. And then watching us on Facebook are Madan Prabhu. Thank you so much, Pran Gopika and Anshu Mataji. Thank you so much for joining my calls. Please accept my respectful obeisances. So let's get going now with the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishna is the perfect knower of past, present, and future. In the beginning of the Bhagavad-gita, the Lord said that all living entities existed individually in the past. They exist now in the present, and they continue to retain individual identity in the future, even after liberation from the material entanglement. So he has already cleared up the question of the future of the individual living entity. Now, unsuccessful transcendentalist. Arjun wants to know the future of the unsuccessful transcendentalist, right? So no one is equal to or above Krishna, and certainly the so-called great sages and philosophers who are at the mercy of nature cannot equal him. Therefore, the verdict of Krishna is final and complete answer to all doubts, because he knows the past, present, and future perfectly, but no one knows him. Krishna and Krishna conscious devotee alone can know what is what, right? The amazing thing here that how we first attribute some characteristics to Krishna, saying that Krishna he knows the present, the past, and the future. What is that term in Sanskrit for one who knows the past, the present, and the future? Trikaldarshi, right. And what are the Trikal? Trikal means three Kals, right? What are those? Vartaman, right? Present, future, and the past, right? So Krishna knows the past, present, and the future. So that is why it is better to go to a person like that to clear your doubts, right? Because he knows what had happened in the past. From there, you draw your experience, right? And then based on that, you will do something in the present. And he also knows that by doing this, what's going to happen in the future, like that. What else comes to your mind from this purport that we read?
Krishna, no one else can know, but Krishna conscious, and the devotee of the Krishna alone can know what is what.
Very good point, Varshana Mataji. So after attributing these good qualities of being a Trikaldarshi to Krishna and saying that Krishna knows what is what, right? He has created everything, so he better know what is what. But in addition to that, even devotees of Krishna also know what is what. Why do they come to know what is what? Because they are in constant touch with Krishna. So like an iron rod, when it is in touch with fire, will get the qualities of fire. So when you start doing devotional service to the Lord, then knowledge and detachment are concomitant factors. We read that in the Srimad Bhagavatam. right? So knowledge and detachments will come on its own. You don't have to worry and do a conscious effort for that, right? To go and get the deep consciousness right there. Okay, good. So Arjun, we can see here, is having doubts. Arjun has doubts throughout till he surrenders completely to Krishna. And we are doing chapter number 1 of Bhagavad-gita in the mornings here. And we see that Arjun has got doubts after doubts after doubts after doubts, right? Now here also, he has got doubts, and which is a good thing, because doubting is the function of the intelligence. So if Arjuna is having doubts, nothing to worry about that. Right? But he is a good seeker, because there are two things that you can do when you have a doubt, right? So there's something to be done, like Krishna is saying, that you do dhyan yoga, or you control your mind. And Arjun has got this doubt, right? So when you have a doubt, there are two things that you can do. One is that because of the doubt, don't take any action. Don't do anything at all. Just stop doing it and never ever do it. Just completely scratch it out of your to-do list, because you got that doubt there, right? And the other option, which is that of a good seeker, one who's trying to find and know the truth, is to ask questions of the right person. And you can see Arjun is lucky, and he has made a very judicious choice. He's made a very good choice of who he should go to and ask questions. He's asking these questions of Krishna. And Krishna alone knows what is what. And Krishna is Trikaldarshi, so he knows the past, present, the future. So he's asking these questions. And when it comes to questions, questioning actually is a skill. Like, for example, we see that once somebody stood in Prabhupada's class, and he asked that, Prabhupada, have you seen Indra? Right? It's a question he's asking. And then Prabhupada says that, how does it matter to you? How does it matter to what I'm speaking over here as to whether I have seen Indra or I have not seen Indra? Like that, right? So Prabhupada did not entertain that question. And somebody sitting in the class said, well, actually, it'll be better if we should ask the question of Indra, like, have you seen Prabhupada? Because if Indra was to see Prabhupada, something good is going to happen, like that. So when we are asking questions, we have to be careful and learn from Arjuna as to what he's asking, to whom he's asking, and how he's asking these questions, right? So people ask different kinds of questions, and Prabhupada says in one of his lectures that, Baddha Jeeves will ask questions. It doesn't matter what sort of body they are. He says that early in the morning, all the birds get up, and you hear that loud chirping sounds. All the birds are making a lot of sound. He says they are asking questions. And then they go away from the tree, and here and there they will go collect their food, this and that, the whole day. And then in the evening they come back to roost. And again, there is so much of noise. They're talking. Again, they're asking questions. How did your day go? How was this, that? So it's a very natural thing for people to ask questions. And people will ask different types of questions depending on, what their motive is, what their situation is, right? And what their knowledge level is. So sometimes we might ask a question because we are miserable. Why did this happen to me? Why is Krishna doing this to me? Right? Can you tell me some more misery questions? Unmute yourself and tell me some more misery questions.
Your loved one suffering.
Yeah, one at a time, please. Go ahead.
So your loved ones are suffering, so you feel the suffering and misery.
No. What is the question you will ask?
Oh, okay.
That's the question.
Why this is happening to
Like
me?
why there is corona.
Why there is corona? Okay, yes, that's a good question. Yeah. Why this is happening to me is already covered. Yeah. Any other questions do you ask?
What did I do to suffer?
Oh, what did I do to deserve this? What did I do to suffer? Yes. Yes. Okay. Give me some more miserable questions. You never ask, huh?
All these will be end.
When all these troubles are going to end ever, right? Yeah, yeah, right. So there are questions that people ask out of misery. And you know what? They are not even expecting you to answer them. And actually, you should not answer them. Because if a person is miserable and he's asking this question that why am I, why is all this happening to me? You don't tell him that, look here, Mataji, it is your karma. You don't tell them like that, right? Because they're already miserable. You have to wait for some other occasion to give them that piece of wisdom there, right? So, but people do ask questions when they are miserable. Okay, so you need to keep in mind. Then sometimes people, might do it out of anger. They are not miserable, but they're angry. They will ask this, right? Why am I being blamed for this? I did not do anything, like that, right? So there is some anger there. We are asking that question. Why is he so rude to me? Why is she so rude to me? Why is she neglecting me? Like that. So there's some anger which is there. So anger is an emotion, and because of that, you are asking that question. So here the person is not looking for an answer from us again, right? They are just, they are in a whirlpool of emotions. The emotions are churning in their head very, very fast, right? And all that they want to do is they want to justify their emotions by asking a question, right? And in such a state of mind, if they are in such a state of mind, no matter what answer you give, it's not going to go inside their head because they are angry. In fact, the more you speak, the more they will come up with justification for their situation. They are not going to listen to you at all, like that. Then, sometimes people will ask questions to attract attention of the speaker. And this is something I used to find a lot when I was working. And we would have these Zoom calls for meetings. And so there are, say, 75 people on a call, and the big shot is saying something, presenting some new product feature or something like that. And people were just, at work, we were not allowed to do the video. We switched the videos on because of the load on the network. So we were all told not to switch the video on, just listen. And they would share some PowerPoint presentations, etc. So you watch it like that. So it was more of a web conferencing than a video conferencing. Nonetheless, you are allowed to ask questions there. So people will ask questions just so that everybody knows that I am also attending this meeting. So please mark me present. I am there. See, I asked this question, right? So sometimes people will ask questions just so that to bring the attention on themselves, they will ask that question there. Sometimes people will just ask the question to check and see whether the teacher knows the answer or not. So they will ask some question related to that, or something which is ahead of what is being taught in the class. Ask a question from the next chapter and see whether the teacher knows it or not, like that. So people can ask questions like that. So we talked about questions that people ask because they are miserable. Number 2, because they're angry. Number 3, they want to capture attention towards themselves. Number 4, they want to test the teacher, like that, right? And then sometimes they will ask a question just to test themselves. It's more like a test for their own understanding. And they will start with, okay, so you told me this, and so did I get this right? So there's a question, right? So Arjuna is speaking this, and Arjuna is saying that, and so I gathered from your speech or from your teaching that this is what Arjuna is thinking. Am I right? Right? So they are asking just to confirm, to make sure that what the teacher is trying to tell and what has gone into my mind is the right thing or not. Right? And then the last type of question that I'm going to talk about is a sincere question. a question that is sincere. The sincere question, sincerity. What is sincere? Sincere basically means that it is free of any hypocrisy. It's free of any deceit. It's free of any falseness that you have. So no hypocrisy, no deceit, no cheating, no cunning, right? It's an earnest question that you're asking. It's very genuine. It's real, right? It's unadulterated. There are no hidden meanings inside that question. It's a plain, simple question. And the sincere questions are asked by people who really want to know something. And they have faith that the person they are asking knows the answer. And they have the faith that that person is going to tell me. Because sometimes when we were studying in college, there was a lot of competition amongst the classmates, and somebody would come and ask us a question, and we know the answer, but you're not going to give them the answer. Why? Because they'll get more marks than I do. Why should I tell them like that, right? So that kind of things happens in competition. And so a person, when you're asking if it's sincerity, then these things are there. Number one, that you want to know the answer. And number two, that you know that the person that I'm asking this question has the answer. And then they also have the faith that he or she will give you the answer. So it is only this type of question that should be answered, right? With an answer like that. Okay, so we see that Arjuna is asking questions. So Arjuna's questions are sincere questions. He's asking that, right? So questions and answers are not something very new to us. Asking questions is something that the teachers have been doing, right? What comes after A? So you're in nursery, B, teacher, like that. And then you say B, teacher, and everybody goes like, yay, very nice, Susie, like that, right? So when we are young and questions, we give answers to the questions, and when we get a correct answer, we get accolades for doing that. Everybody claps, and maybe you get a little sweet or a little cookie or something like that. Okay? And then that kind of a thing, like being incensed, being given a reward because you answered something, that kind of a thing continues with us in our lives. And you grow up and you come to a job, and your manager tells you, okay, you go, this is a problem. Okay, our problem is that our revenues are falling down. So who's the person who will get rewarded? Is a person who opens up his mouth and says, okay, I can give some suggestions on how we can up our revenue. So those kind of questions, those kind of people are very much liked by the manager. On the other hand, if somebody starts and asks the manager, so what type of a planning did you do? And what sort of surveys did you do? Like that. So if you start asking questions, then, you're not very much liked in general, right? So when people start asking these kind of questions, then they are sidelined. The boss doesn't like that. They can even be considered as a threat, like, oh, in every meeting this guy comes and asks me all kinds of questions that are going to expose my inabilities to everybody, right? And then another thing that has happened here, and I've seen that a lot in my life especially, is that there is such an urgency now that earlier, it was like, okay, get this work done. And it was understood that if you get it done in 7 days, it's fine, like that, So, or at the most, if there was an urgency, you'll say, get it done soon. Instead of saying, get it done soon, it has now become, get it done now. So the manager comes to your desk and stands on your head and says, you do it now. So you do it, right? And then, of course, I later on found that they started using a very nice phrase. So the boss gives you some work and you ask, when do you want it done? And he'll say, yesterday. So that's the kind of thing that we are coming to. That's the place where we are. That's the mood in which we are working. That's the environment in which we are working, right? So what's going to happen? I'm not going to waste my time asking questions. I'm just going to give whatever needs to be done in that short period of time Somehow or the other, I will do it and I'll give it. I will not ask enough questions. And then because of that, we suffer because of not answering enough questions. Those of you who are in the software line know it well enough that if you do not ask, then the product that you develop is very different from what the customer wanted. And it can even apply in other places as well. For example, if you're going to cook food for somebody, some sannyasi comes to your home and you say, sannyasi has come, let me cook the food for him. And then you cook all the food, right? And you forgot to ask. Then the food comes and then they ask, like, does it have ghee? Yes. Is it ahimsa ghee? No. Okay, I don't eat. That's it. All your preparations are gone down the drain. You cooked so much with so much of affection and so much of hard work, it's all gone down the drain because of not asking the right questions beforehand. And then, of course, you have to go and cook again. So the rework is going to happen there, right? So it's very important for us to start asking the right questions. And this Bhagavad-gita is actually a conversation, right? It's a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. So you have to ask the questions, right questions along the way, so that conversation goes in the right direction, right? Like Prabhupada is talking about something. He's talking about the virtues. And then you stand up and say, Prabhupada, have you seen Indra? It's like, it doesn't even have any relevance to the topic which is being discussed, except apart from being an absurd question, and it actually checking the viability of Prabhupada. Like, are you good enough to have seen a demigod? Like that. So when we ask questions of somebody tells you something and you start asking those questions, then your questions can be, the type of questions you ask can widen your view, right? They can make your view wide, or they could make your view narrow. And both kind of questions are right. It's not that wide is good and narrow is bad. When you want to pay attention to the details, you will want to go and ask a question which goes deeper into and gets more details on what somebody has said. Wide questions are the questions that you will ask that will widen the scope of whatever you're discussing, the problem that you're discussing. For example, right now, Arjuna's problem. What is Arjuna's problem in Bhagavad Gita? Biggest problem.
Whether he should fight. I mean, he doesn't want to fight.
Very good, Varshana Mataji, whether he should fight or not, right? That is his basic question. He starts that in the first chapter, right? And then as you go along, Krishna is telling him this and that, and he's asking more and more questions. But from that one question, Sajanam hi katha Krishna, right? How could I kill my Swajanas? How can I kill my family members? From there, there's a whole slew of questions he's asking. And right now in chapter number 6, the biggest problem is, how do I control my mind, right? And Krishna is going to give him the answers like that. And he is giving them the answers, right? So kids are the ones who ask the most questions, isn't it?
Yes.
And they're always asking questions, like, about when they are young, 2, 3, 4, 80% of the conversations are about questions, and they will ask you such kind of question, why, that sometimes it makes you having to take a step back and say, oh, I never thought of that. I have to ask, why, right? Like that. So, so let's go a little bit more into questions, and sometimes it's better to ask questions, and sometimes in some areas there is no questions to be asked. And Varshana Mataji can agree with that because she comes from a military background. Her husband served in the Indian Army. And so there's this very famous poem, and Vidyavadhu might remember that, Charge of the Light Brigade. And this poem used to be in our English readers. And it talked about, there was an infantry of, I think, 600 Englishmen, or, someone from that country, that area, Ireland or something like that. And they were given a wrong order by Cardigan, a person called Sergeant Cardigan. And so he gave them the wrong order and asked these people to march and attack a certain area. And his orders were based on wrong information, so he gave the wrong orders. And so, but these, and the poem was actually eulogizing these 600 people who went there, and as they were marching towards that, the poem is describing, half a league, half a league, half a league onwards into the valley of death rode the 600. So they know it, that they have been given the wrong orders, but in the military, you don't question it. So they go there, and towards the end, it says, there's not to reason why, there's but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. So in some cases, they won't ask because that's what the tradition is, and that's what because in the military, it's better to go there and die, because if you abandon military and you don't follow the orders, in any case, they will kill you, right? You will face the firing squad for abandoning. So, and Arjuna is also saying, and not Arjuna doesn't say that, but Prabhupada says that when people die, it's better for a Kshatriya to die in a war, because if he dies, he'll go to heaven in any case, right? And if he doesn't die, then he wins and he enjoys heaven here on earth. So it's better to do that. So in the military, they don't question, they just go and do it. Otherwise, you are a rebel and an absconder. I don't know what the term is, Vashana might know. But anyway, so our situation here is that in our day-to-day environment, because of the work pressures, because of the time pressures, etc., that we don't even speak enough, and then we don't even think about different types of questions, and we don't even think that if I don't ask these questions, or the fact that asking different types of questions will lead to different types of outcomes. Your results will be different, like that, right? So we can ask questions, and they are bucketed into, one study bucketed these questions into 4 types of questions. So the first type of question is a clarifying question. Clarifying question. So clarifying question is that you question that you will ask to just help you better understand whatever is being said. And this is very, very important for us to know, and also to relish, because the Bhagavad-gita is a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, and all that Arjuna and Krishna is doing, Krishna is telling, Arjuna asks questions, of course, on our behalf, and then Krishna answers those questions. When you go to Srimad Bhagavatam, the structure itself is like is conversational, and the structure is question and answers, question and answers, question and answer, like that. So, and there will be all these kinds of questions are there, the clarifying kind of questions are also asked there in people, that just to help better understand whatever the speaker is telling. So they will ask that question, right? Here. And so typically what you will say is that, can you tell me some more about it? Or I say something and you come back and say, why did you say that? Can you explain a little bit more, like that, right? Now, again, in these types of scenarios, the real world scenarios that we live in nowadays, people don't ask these kind of questions. They will not ask any clarifying questions. They are too much in a hurry to go and get the work done. And also they will make some assumptions. Okay, okay, this may be, I have a doubt. Oh, maybe it is this. So we are using our own faculties to clarify the doubts that we have, right? And if there are any missing parts, I will complete it with myself, with my 4 defective, with the 4 types of defect that I have. I will use a defective instrument or instruments to answer my own questions. That's not the right way. You should ask the question of a right authority, and that's why here we see that Krishna is asking that question of Arjuna is asking that question of Krishna, because he knows everything. Like, that is the smart guy, like that, right? So in chapter 9, Krishna will say, api chet suduracharo bhajte mam ananya bhak sadhur eva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. So what that means is that if you see a devotee doing sudurachar, means very bad behavior. So if you see them doing very bad behavior, you should not, try to do anything over there. You just think that they are still devotees of the Lord. Api chet suduracharo bhaste mam anyanya bhak sadhur eva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. Right? Because he is engaged in devotional service. So you still consider him to be a sadhu. Right? Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati kaunteya prati janehi name bhaktya pranasyati. So your teacher tells you that very soon he's going to become a devotee. Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati, is going to get peace. Kaunteya pratijanihi, then Krishna says, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Right? So you hear that sentence from the teacher, or you read it there. Then questions should arise in your mind. For example, a person can say, ask a clarifying questions that you said here, api chet suduracharo. So you said that sometimes a devotee can behave in a bad way. Can you expand a little bit more on that? Can you give me an example of a devotee who seemed to be, behaving in a bad way? Like that, so you're asking that clarifying question. Or you might say, Krishna says, Kaunteya prati janihi name bhaktya pranashyati. My devotee never perishes. How do I understand that? Because this material body is supposed to perish. So what does it mean by saying that the devotee never perishes? Aren't all of us supposed to die? Like that, right? Then the person might tell you, okay, you are asking me about durachar, bad behavior. Okay, let me tell you the behavior of the devotee, Indra, called Indra. So then they will tell you, once Prithu Maharaj was trying to do a yagya, and as part, it was Ashwamedh yagya. And so the horse is there ready to be sacrificed. And Indra comes and he steals the horse and goes away. And then Prithu Maharaj's son, goes after him and sees him, but then he doesn't, catch him or doesn't punish him. And Indra does this 3 times. Till in the end, they are ready to, kill him, but then Indra disappears like that. Right? So he tells you that. Now I'll give you another example of a questioning type, which is known as an adjoining question. Adjoining question is that when somebody is telling you something, and then you ask a question to explore some of the related aspects of the problem, not the main problem that you're having, but the related aspects of the problem, right? And you ask a question, and then the problem kind of just expands a little more. For example, here, it all starts with I cannot fight. And then Krishna telling him about Sankhya Yoga, then telling him about Karma Yoga, and now he's telling him about Dhyan Yoga. Having told him everything about Dhyan Yoga, Arjuna is asking that, how do I control the mind? And then Krishna has given the answer also. He says that how do you control the mind? There are 2 things that Krishna tells us. How does one control the mind? 2 things.
Practice and renunciation.
Yeah, practice and detachment. Very good, for 20 points, right? So the thing is done. You asked a question, I have given the answer, end chapter 6, but it doesn't happen because Arjuna now goes and asks an adjoining question. And his adjoining question is, what happens to the unsuccessful yogi? Right? So now it's expanding more. He's expanding the scope more, and then we have to go and then Krishna has to explain that. Right? Or api chet suduracharo verse that I said, right? Api chet suduracharo. So if you see someone doing some durachar, so you can ask an adjoining question that animals also seem to be doing a lot of durachar. So can you tell me, how does this verse apply to animals? So you broaden the scope there, from human beings, now you are encompassing more. Or how does it apply to demigods also? So you have gone to a higher plane and you're asking questions over there like that. Then the third type of question is known as a funneling question, right? Funneling, you know how a funnel is? It is wide on the top and it is narrow, right? The funnel is shaped like this, wide and then narrow. So you're trying to narrow down. You're trying to narrow down, which means that it's a deep dive you're doing into whatever is being talked about. Then you are going further inside. So you're not expanding the scope. You are on the scope. You're still on the same problem or same situation. You're just trying to dig in a little bit deeper over there, right? For example, the story that I just told you in a nutshell about Prithu Maharaj and Indra. There's a horse sacrifice. Indra stole the horse. His son lets him go scot-free. Then you can go deep down and say, why did Prithu Maharaj's son let Indra go scot-free? Right? So you've gone deeper into that. Yeah, it's the same story, same context, same everything, just a little bit deeper. And then he will give you the answer as to what had happened. So there'll be more information that will be there. Like then the fourth type of question is an elevating question. So elevating question is that it's not just expanding the scope of the problem that we have. It's not just expanding that, but it's going to elevate and take to a higher level so that it'll start to look at more problems also along the way. And our problem that we are discussing is one of them, right? But it encourages you to elevate yourself to a higher level so that you can see the big picture from the top like that, right? So in the case of our Prithu Maharaj and Indra story, right, funneling question will be, so how did Indra come and steal? How did Indra disappear? How did Prithu Maharaj's son chase him? How many times did they chase? What was the yagya they were doing? What were the ingredients used in the yagya? All those are funneling questions, going deep into that, right? But a broader question, a question that will elevate you to a higher level will be that why would a devotee like Indra stoop to a level of stealing a horse? Indra, who has Airavat, the best possible horse, why would he want to steal a sacrificial horse? Right now you are coming from this problem that is there of Prithu Maharaj's horse being stolen. We have expanded through our question our understanding on why is Indra doing it, why do people do that, right? Like that. So these questions, the way we ask the questions, could fall into any of these categories. So we have to remember that for us to make the right decisions in life, we have to start asking the questions that really matter, right? And we see that Arjuna is asking that question and to help clarify his doubts. And how much of the doubts does he want to be clarified? He has many doubts, right? How many of them does he want to clarify?
All of them.
All of them. And what's the Sanskrit for that? Thank you very much.
Sarvatra.
Is the word sarvatra used in the verse today?
No.
So from the verse, you have to give me the word.
Asheshataha.
Asheshataha. Thank you very much for 25 points, right? So Asheshataha. So the word Asheshataha is actually used 3 times only in the Bhagavad-gita. Only, right? And 2 times it is used in chapter 6 itself, right? Right now he has used the word, 4 times it's used in Bhagavad-gita. Right now he has used it. And then he had used it before, earlier also in 6.24. So let's have a look at 6.24 and see what is the Asheshata that was being talked of over there. And let me go and give you the link to that. And how do I give the link to you? Here on WhatsApp to Vedic readings. And here I see. And Vidya Mataji, Vidya saying, that's not to question why, but to do and die. Yes, Vidya Vadu, yeah, reminds me of our young age. And everybody got the link to 624? Can somebody confirm? Okay. All right, very good. So I'm also going to go there. And where is 624 here? Let me go there here. Bringing up 624, which was about 6 weeks ago, if I'm not wrong. Then, so he's saying that sa nishchayena yoktavyo yoga nirvinna chetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamam stvakva sarvam asheshataha manasevendriya gramam viniyamya samantataha. So what does it mean? Translation, he says, one should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires, born of mental speculation, and thus control all the senses on all the sides by the mind, right? So he has covered everything, right? So here is where um, Krishna is asking Arjuna to do certain things. He's saying that this is what a yogi is supposed to do. Number one, engage yourself in the practice of yoga. You should have determination and faith, not be deviated. So you should be, nishtha should be there, no deviations. And then without exception, you have to abandon what? All material desires. And then control all the senses and on all the sides, right? So nothing should be left here. Cover all the grounds is what he says. And then, of course, here in this verse, Arjuna is now coming back to Krishna and using the same word as Sishita and saying, now completely remove all my doubts. You have told me to do all these things from all angles and all these things, but I'm getting doubts from all angles like that. So you please clear all the doubts that I have here. Right? Then Krishna will talk about, will use the word Asheshata, again, but he will do that in the next chapter. But it is an interesting thing. It's a very interesting verse because we talk about that all the time. So let's bring that verse up again, After all, our class will not be complete till we bring up 25 verses, right? So if somebody can confirm, we have, you are looking at 7.2.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, thank you. Jnanam teham cha vijnanam idam vakshami asheshataha yat gyatva neha bhuyonyaj gyatavyam avashishyate. So Krishna is saying, I shall not declare to you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. So he's covering complete knowledge, phenomenal, worldly, or spiritual, para and apara. He's covering all of this. And he says, once you know this, nothing further needs to be known. It's complete. I have done that completely, given it to you completely like that, right? And then in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, he will talk about complete in the sense that if you are embodied, if you are in a body, then it's not possible for you to give up all activities completely. So he will use the term over there as well. Okay. So Arjuna is asking, he's a good person. He's asking the question. And then why is he asking Krishna? We kind of touched upon that a little bit, right? Why is he asking Krishna? What is the main reason he's asking this question of Krishna? We saw that in the purpose.
Because he knows everything. He's knower of everything.
Number one, he's the knower of everything. Okay. Yes, he knows the past, the present, and the future, right? That is what came up in this particular verse. So he knows all that, right? So Krishna is the source of knowledge. Sarvasya chaham hidi sannivishto matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha. Right? So mattaha is knowledge, comes from me. Right? And then in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, where he's talking about the opulence of the absolute. So he's saying that, he says, there is no truth that is more superior than me. So if you're trying to find out the truth, you go to that person who has no, there is nobody superior than him. He is the truth. So find out the truth from the truth, like that, right? And when it comes to questions, asking questions, I said that sincere questions are questions that you will ask of a person on whom you have got faith that they will be able to answer your questions, right? So you are basically looking at the faith that they will answer your question, plus also that they have the ability that they will answer that question, right? If you go and ask the question of a fourth grader and asking about a complex solution to a complex trigonometrical problem, he or she won't be able to answer you, right? So the person also should have the ability to answer that question, right? So Krishna says again in chapter 7, which is going to be a nice chapter coming up. So that's what I'm showing you a little bit of a trailer of chapter 7. So in chapter 7, he's going to say that I am, when he's talking about, among the Pandavas, I'm Arjun, among the elephants, I'm Airavat, and so on and so forth. He will also say that I am the ability in man. What that means is that if somebody is capable and able to do something, that ability actually comes from Krishna. So if Krishna is the one who's supplying ability to everybody, I'm sure he will be able to answer my question. So let me put that question to Krishna, right? Then Krishna, when you go and ask a question of your mom, and then you go and ask the same question of your dad, there are reasons, there can be situations where you will get two different answers, because two different people will be looking at the same problem from two different perspectives, right? Mom might give a different answer, dad might give a different answer, teacher might give a different answer, guru might give a different answer, friend might give a different answer to the same question, because everybody has got a different view. And their view can be narrow view, right? Some people might not have that experience. So because of lack of experience, the answer might be different, like that. So, but Krishna has got the best view. So the higher you go, the better is your view. So Krishna is seated in Golok Vrindavan. So what better view can you get? He's on the topmost planet. He sees everything from there. And as if that is not enough, actually as super soul, he also stays in everyone's heart. So he knows all that. He knows all that, right? And he is the creator. He's the creator of, in the 10th chapter, he'll come and tell you that he's the creator of knowledge. He's the creator of intelligence. And Krishna has got the best memory, right? When Arjuna, he's telling about, millions of years ago, this Bhagavad-gita was spoken and to sun god Vivashwan, and he told it to his son, and so on and so forth. And Arjuna says that, but this happened so many millions of years ago. Krishna, how do you remember that? And Krishna says, well, you know what, Arjun, you were also there. When I was telling Bhagavad Gita, you were also there with me, but you don't remember and I remember, because Krishna has got an excellent memory, like that, right? So these are some of the reasons that Arjun is actually turning towards Krishna and he's asking the question. And the best question that you can ask anybody are questions that are for the good of other people. And Bhagavatam actually opens with the 6 questions asked by the sages of Naimisharanya. And they are wonderful, wonderful questions. So they put these questions, they're headed by Shaunak Rishi, and they are asking to Sutta Goswami questions like, what is the ultimate good of people? What is the best for people? Tell us this. Tell us, second question was, what is the essence of all the scriptures? Because they don't have time, they don't have long lives that they can sit and read scriptures that are lakhs and lakhs of slokas. We don't have that kind of time. Right now, even to read the Bhagavad Gita is a backbreaker. What to talk about Bhagavatam, which is 18,000 verses long. So they're saying, give us the essence of all the scripture. Then they ask questions like, for what purpose did Krishna appear recently? And then what activities, what are the activities of his incarnation, right? And when he comes over here, he performs pastimes. So when he expands, what are the pastimes he does particularly for creation? Because we should try to find out, I'm living in this earth, why was it created, who was it created, how was it created, how do things over here in this planet interact with each other, and so on and so forth. I should ask that. So he's asking, like, what did he particularly do with respect to the creation, right? And then they ask the last question, which was that, because Krishna has gone, so religious principles have also gone back with him, knowledge has also gone back with him. So where have they gone now, right? After he has gone, what are we going to get here in this world, in this material life? So they ask such wonderful questions. And Sutta Goswami, Vyasdev, who's narrating this question, he says, iti samprashna samvishto vipranam roma harshanihi pratipujya vachastesham pravaktum upachakrame. So he says that, the samprashna samrishto, he says that, he was very happy, and very satisfied because of these perfect questions that the Brahmins ask them. And what does he do? He thanks them. He actually thanks them for asking them very good questions, right? And he says that, your questions are very wonderful. Savai pumsan paro dharmo, right? So he's saying that because they Muniya sadhu prishtoham bhavad bir loka mangalam yat krita krishna sampasno yenatma suprasidati. So he's saying that I have been very rightly, questioned by you. And these kind of questions that are generally meant for, for welfare of the whole world, those questions are the ones that will always be ones which are related to Krishna. So questions which are related to Krishna are the ones which are of any relevance to anybody in the world. And actually, when you ask these kind of questions, then only are you going to be completely satisfied in the self. So our dear Arjuna is justified in asking that question, all the questions that he's asking, because Dhyan Yoga is about putting your attention on Krishna, right? So I'm asking that question, he's asking this question, how do I do it? And things like that. So actually in the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, Prabhupada writes in one of the purports, and he says that questions that pertain to Krishna, questions that pertain to Krishna are the sum and substance of all the Vedic inquiries. So Vedas are huge, right? Many verses. Covers all gamuts, all kinds of things. There's Gyan Kan, Karma Kan, like that. But from the Vedas also, all the Vedic inquiries that you can do from any of the Vedic scriptures, the questions that pertain to Krishna are the sum and substance. If you ask those questions, then you will get, benefited by that, right? So there was, Naguib Mahfouz. He's a noble laureate, and he once said that a wise man is known by his questions, the kind of questions that a wise man asks. And then how should we ask those questions? We see that Arjuna has got all these doubts. Krishna boldly said that, okay, fine, you meditate on me and me only, and Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. He's saying, but he's not refuting Krishna. He's not saying how come and this and that. He's saying that, here, I am not capable of doing it. So he's asked that same question, but in a very submissive mood, that I don't think, tasyaham nigraham manye, vayur eva sadushkaram. I think it is very difficult for me to do it. And then Krishna is going to give him answers and give him another path, which is much easier path, just a few verses down in the same chapter. He's going to go and do that. But Arjuna knows that tadvidi paripatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeshyanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshina. And that is that if you want to get answers to your question, what do you have to do? Tadvidi paripatena pariprashnena sevaya. So with humility, first you have to do service to the person who knows the answer. And then you have to very submissively put the question. And when you are serving somebody, there is a heart-to-heart connection. You reach to the heart, they feel good about it. And then jnanina tattva darshana upadeshyanti. So the jnanis who have seen the truth are going to open their hearts, and they're going to give you the knowledge that is there. And that is why in the purport, our dear Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna and Krishna conscious devotees alone can know what is what, because they are the real tattva darshanis. They have seen the real truth over there. Okay, so it's a little past over the hour right now. So I will stop here and open up for any questions or any comments or any reflections that you have. And I lost. Hare Krishna Medha, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Mataji. I have one question about what you said today. I could only listen since 6:30. So that Krishna says his devotee never perishes. So I want to understand, what does that never mean? Does it mean, does it mean not a single moment in their life, or eventually in their overall span of their life they will not perish? I ask this because when I was hearing that several examples came of Krishna's very good devotees from the scripture story who did go through very hard time, and Krishna did eventually rescue them and kind of rewarded them, but it seemed like in that moment in their life they did seem like they were not doing very well. So I asked.
Yeah, so good question. And actually I had brought this up. I don't know whether you were there at 6:30 or whether I was talking about it at 6:30, but I had said in an example that when Krishna says Tadvidi, no, not this, apichet sudaracharo bhaste mam ananya bhak. So when Krishna is saying that, a person might ask the same question, the one that you have asked just now. A person might say, Krishna, what do you mean when you say my devotee never perishes? Because don't people die? And I always use perishing as dying, but you use perishing as suffering, your question. And so we have to keep in mind that sometimes you will come across such terms in the literature, and we don't take it literally, right? Don't take the word, like look up the word in the dictionary and say, oh, perishes means dies. Okay, devotee never dies, like that. For example, we are reading the Bhagavad-gita in the mornings these days. And there was a section, a couple of verses were there. Panchajanyam Hrishikesha Devadattam Dhananjaya Pandram Dadbo Mahashankam. So they're listing all the conch shells, but those on the sides of the Pandavas are blowing. And then, Bhishma Pitama also blows, and, Krishna blows, and this blows, and that one blows the conch shells. And then suddenly everybody starts blowing the drums and all that. And then there it says that the sound was very tumultuous. And then it says, it shattered the hearts of the Kauravas. So if you look at the word shattered and you look at the word hearts, it doesn't mean that their hearts were broken into two pieces, into many, many pieces, right? We know what shattering of heart means, right? It doesn't mean that the heart becomes 100 pieces like that, right? So your confidence is lost, or your hopes are lost, or things like that. That is shattering of the heart. So similarly, or sometimes in Ishopanishad, you will see killer of the soul. Come on, you told me in chapter 2 that soul never dies. So what do you mean killer of the soul? Right? Like that. Or sometimes you might hear that if you continue to do these things, Krishna will leave your heart. Right? So what do you mean Krishna will leave my heart? In 6th chapter, you have been telling me that the super soul stays there. And when you die and go into another body, you carry your subtle body with you, and the super soul goes with you there, like a mom, going with the child everywhere. So what does it mean that Krishna will leave your heart, right? Similarly here, what does it mean that the devotee never perishes? So what he means is that when there is a devotee and he is doing devotional service, okay, and even if he falls down temporarily, right, because of any aberrations that are there, right, or incomplete, or some anarthas that he has, then Krishna, as the super soul within his heart, will bring him back to his level again. And that is the reason that verse is saying that even if you see devotees behaving abominably according to your concepts, we should not think of them badly, because Krishna will make sure that their devotional service never perishes. They will bounce back, right? And then, even if they happen to die, they had a sudden heart attack and they died at that time, whatever devotional service that they did in this life, it gets carried over to the next life, right? So devotee perishes. The perishing of a devotee, we use the term devotee is perishing when his devotional service is going down or getting finished and things like that. So he's saying that never happens. So that is indeed a very, very reassuring thing for us.
I see. So he is referring to his devotees' spiritual progress.
Yes, exactly.
Never perishing.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that, they will not have suffering or they will not do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, in one of the one of the verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, it says Vikarmanaya patitam kadanchit dhunnoti sarvam hridi sannivishta. So he says that vikarmana, because he makes some vikarma is when you do certain things which are not according to shastric injunctions. So when you do things like that, vikarmana yo patitam kadanchit. Patitam means falls down. Kadanchit, sometimes if it happens to him that because of small aberrations here and there, he falls down because of some dirt that comes in his heart. Then what he says, dhunnoti sarvam hridi sannivishta, that I will cleanse, like a dhunna, vidhonati, I will cleanse his heart because I am there in his heart as a super soul. So Krishna will do that to make sure Kaunteya pratijanihi. That's what he says. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktya pranasyati. Like that. But thank you for asking that
No,
question.
thank you, Mataji. I get it now. Thank you.
Good.
Hare Krishna, can I ask you one question?
Divyangi, Hare Krishna, good to have you. What time is it there? 12 o'clock, midnight?
No, it's time to ask questions.
All righty.
So how you said that, well, there is four kind of modes, right? People or devotees, they ask questions, and most of them are not supposed to be answered because the person will not really hear the answer.
Yes.
It will be useless. So how to use it really in practical way when some devotees or even people, they approach us in a stressed mood or angry mood and they ask these questions. What's the right way to act on that?
Very good. So first thing is you have to defer answering the question. And this deferring is a technique, pushing, postponing, is a technique that is used in a lot of places. For example, if somebody goes to, in most of the states in USA, if a couple goes to the court and says that we want to have a divorce, how long does it take? I mean, to sign out a divorce thing, right? There will be templates already available. You just have to put the name of the spouse, like wife and husband, and bingo, the document should be ready. Just ask them to fill out what have they decided, who gets what. Maybe they have already decided that. So it shouldn't take time at all. It should be a half an hour thing to grant divorce to somebody like that. But they don't do it. They will put a later date. They will ask you for this, ask you for that. It takes a whole 6-month process to go through that. Why? Because during that time, the anger will subside. And then, goodness will come back from passion. You might go back to goodness, rethink your action, and then decide not to do it. Right? So similarly here also, if a person is angry, right, you don't start answering. Don't give them the truth. They could be angry for the wrong reason. Don't give them that answer at that time. I have seen a technique that a lot of people use. They will say, okay, come here, sit down. Here is some prasadam. Give them tender love and affection and tell them, okay, let's read some Bhagavatam or let's read something from the scriptures. Right? And not only just anger, sometimes people are very sad also. And some person might just come and say, why did my dad die at such a young age? Somebody might just be feeling bad about that. So take them to something which is transcendental, because only that transcendental thing can calm them down, nothing else. Right? If they are feeling very sad, you can tell them, let's do a little bit of kirtan. Because when they're feeling sad, it's not a good time to tell them philosophy in any ways. So saying that, okay, let's read some verse from Bhagavatam, let's read 11th canto, it's got very nice concepts on Atma and things like that. Let's not do that. They are not in a mood, they won't get it. Let's say, okay, now here's a very nice tune. Again, depends on, who's coming to you, Divyangi. You are in a temple environment, so that's why I'm giving you these examples. Okay, let's go and do some kirtan. Okay, why didn't you come help me this? I need to fold the DT dresses, or I need to do this. I need to cut flowers. So engage them in, some sort of a service there, so that their mood gets diverted. And then when you see the time is right for you to discuss, then you say, okay, I'm going to, listen, and then listen. Because sometimes what happens is, and I've noticed it happens with me all the time, that I would be worked up a lot about something, and then I'll go to a senior and they will say, okay, so tell me what is bothering you. And then I will start my monologue. And after 15 minutes of non-stop talking, I will realize that whatever I'm saying doesn't make any sense at all. So let them speak, let them speak, and then, you gauge. And this kind of thing will come with experience, because not every human, there's variety. Not every human being is the same. Not every devotee is the same. They react to things, the same thing, they will react to it differently. So with practice, you will know how to, gauge the other person.
Thank you so much. Yeah, very nice.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the question. Any other comments, any other thoughts before we call it a day? It's 7:19 on the clock.
Thank you, Mataji, for such a nice explanation of asking questions. We never thought of like there will be so many means categorized we can do with when we are asking questions.
Yeah, it's a nice thing to know that, because when you are coming to class, you will be coming to the class with a purpose, and the purpose could be as simple as that: I've just come here to listen to Krishna Katha, so any Krishna Katha will do, right? Because any Krishna Katha will have an effect on you. From that level, from that end of the spectrum, you could be on the other end of the spectrum where you're working on a project and you have come to sit in the class to get answers for that project. And you see that the speaker has spoken something, but not to your related to your project, but you can see an extension there. Then you will definitely ask that question because you see the immediate benefit over there, that I'm working on this project and I think this concept can fit over here, let me ask this question. So you'll ask that. So that's the expanding, the questions that expand your horizon, the widening ones, like that. So once you know that, you will also know how we are supposed to, when are we supposed to answer, when you're not supposed to answer. For example, sometimes sannyasis come and visit us, and they are talking. Some sannyasi is well known um, for a particular topic. Like they are very, for example, let's say a sannyasi comes, and that sannyasi is an expert in telling you about how the mind works, right? So there are 500 people sitting there, everybody's listening, it's question hours, they ask this and that and this and that. But then, from previous lecture, I have a question on deity worship, and I raise my hand and ask that question. Well, he'll answer that question, but then that's not a good use of his time, right? Because that's not his area, not his focus in that particular session, that particular event. He's going to talk about mind. So if you're going to ask questions related to mind, then you will get answers from an expert, right? You better ask your deity worship question to somebody who's an expert at deity worship, right? So you also have to go and ask the question to the right person also. So yes, applying all these kinds of techniques is going to make us better question askers, better question askers. Yeah. Well begun is half done. So if you start the technique nice. Was somebody asking a question?
Mataji, can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, you'll have to pay the fees. First questions are free. Please go ahead. Yeah, I love teasing you. Come on, Nida. Yeah.
So previously you said that it's the spiritual progress that Krishna prevents from perishing. But then what is the guideline for preventing our fall in the first place, so that there is no place for the spiritual progress to go down, like to prevent us from making the karmas that are so complex that cause all these effects that then we have to deal with. And it's not like severe sins, like, okay, the known anarthas. It could be something that is beyond our current knowledge, and it comes from either ignorance or lack of knowledge, but still we have to suffer its consequences. Then how to kind of go beyond that?
Yeah. So for that, you require preparation from the beginning itself. And Nectar of Devotion book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, talks about 64 items of devotional service that you should do all the time. This is sadhana bhakti that we're doing. You have to practice them all the time. Now, before you ask me, like, how can I even do 64? I'm so busy, right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said that out of those 64 items of devotional service, there are 5 that are very potent items of devotional service. If you do those 5, then you are covered nicely. And he talks about that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, the Madhya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He talks about those 5 items of devotional service, and he says, Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bhagavata Shravana Mathura Vas Sri Murtira Shraddha Sevana. So what that means, Sadhu Sangha. So you should always do Sadhu Sangha, which is association of devotees. So we should go to the temple as much as possible. And while some people in the temple might rub you the wrong way, then api chet suduracharo. Remember that one. Sadhu Sangha is one. Nama Kirtan, chanting the holy names of the Lord, is the second one. Then the third is Bhagavata Shravana. Bhagavat here means Srimad Bhagavatam. Either you read it or you hear it from somebody. So 3:30 on Friday, 4 o'clock these days on Friday. Then the fourth is Mathura Vas. That is living at a holy place. Try to go there for some time. If you can't, because of visa reasons, can't leave America, you have to stay here, whatever, then the temple is also considered to be a place of pilgrimage like that. If some person cannot even go to the temple because they can't drive, they are on a wheelchair, so on and so forth, as long as your body permits, you should go. But if your body is not permitting you, then make your home a place of pilgrimage. Make sure that it is like a place of pilgrimage like that. And then the fifth one is deity worship. How do you do the deity worship? With Shraddha, Shraddhaya Sevana. So Sri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevana. So Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan Bhagavata Shravana, Mathura Vas Sri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevana. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita in the Madhya-lila, the famous chapter 22, where Krishna is giving instructions on devotional service. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving instructions on devotional like that. So if we practice all these, then we won't reach that stage where we will fall down, because we are constantly nurturing our creeper of devotional service constantly. And our creeper of devotional service can be, whenever you are trying to grow something in the garden, there are weeds also that can grow around it. And so the weeds have to be removed, or new weeds have to be prevented. And who can prevent new weeds from going is when you go and work in the association of devotees. So sadhu sangha, that's why, is very, very important, because the sadhus will tell you about your anarthas. They will tell you that, this you need to change, that you need to change. But you are the first person who should go to a sadhu and ask, right? Tadvidi paripatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeshyanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshina. So you have to ask them with humility and say that, what are the anarthas that you see? Ask 5 or 6 devotees, in confidence. That's why the verse in Nectar of Instruction says that dadati patiganati guhyam akhyati prichati. Guhyam akhyati prichati, inquire in confidence. Tell them and they will tell you. But just don't go and ask anybody and everybody. Go to somebody who's a senior devotee, who you have respect, and from whom, when you hear, then you will also be willing to make the changes and they suggest some things like that. So that is how it happens. Anartha nivritti. You said that we keep on doing all these wrong things because of the anarthas that we have. So removing the anarthas is a very long process. It's the longest in the various stages of devotional service. There are 9 stages there, and this stage takes a very long time. And because anarthas have accumulated from a very long time, so if you take a rag, like, we use napkins in the kitchen, right? So if you get in the habit that every night when I start using the napkins and the towels in the kitchen, I'm going to wash them in the night and hang them dry, then what's going to happen is that they will never get any stains on them, right? Because you're washing them every night. But if you don't wash a kitchen rag for 1 month and then decide to wash it one day, it's going to become a very difficult task. So similarly with us, because you have all these anarthas that have accumulated, piled upon us for millions of years. So now that our eyes are opened, anavritti shabdat, because of the hearing the holy name, because our eyes are open, then it's going to take us time. It's a dirty rag for all of us. You're not the only one. Maybe you're better than all of us. Who knows, right? Like that. So it's going to take some time. Just have patience and faith in Krishna that he will do it for you. Right? After all, Krishna made you stumble, isn't it? Into that Harinam in Palo Alto.
Yes, Mataji.
There you go. Yeah. So he will do that. And now slowly, you first started attending Bhagavatam, and now you're seriously taking it and you're reading Bhagavatam, right? So you see how many, let's do a quick check with you. How many are you doing, right? Sadhu Sangha, you're coming to these calls, right? So these are Sadhu Sangha. You go to the temple, you're doing Sadhu Sangha. Nam Kirtan, you are chanting. Bhagavad Shravana, you're doing Srimad Bhagavatam. Mathura Vas, you are coming to the temple, right? Shri Murtiya Shraddha Sevana, you have got Murti in your home. It doesn't matter whether it's on a laptop, whether it's on a piece of paper, whether it's on the wall, a projection on the wall, whether it's a DT by itself, whether it is wood, whether it is oil, whether it is metal, doesn't matter. But you are doing it. You're making food. You're doing arti. You're doing all of them, right? You're doing the 5 very potent items of devotional service. So this is what is going to help you, all of them, and never to abandon any of them.
I see. Thank you, Mataji. This is very helpful.
You're welcome.
Hare Krishna. I just wanted to quickly mention my appreciation that in our Shastras, there's such a deep study is done for everything, like 4 kind of miseries. Then, just like how it is, you mentioned today, like different kind of questions, and the best being sincere questions to benefit of others. So those kind of things you always come across, like even 4 kind of miseries, Adhidai, Vekadi, Bhotek, and all that. I was appreciating that.
Very good. Yeah, appreciation is a good thing. Yeah. Yeah. And actually, Vidya Badu just texted me and she says, I think in response to Medha, your question, she says, and this is not for you, but for all of us, and she's saying that wash your anarthas regularly. And how do we wash them regularly? Shunvatam swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtana hidyantasto hiya bhadrani vidhunoti shruhit satam. So if you listen to Krishna Katha every day, it will go into your heart and it will clean it over there. Whatever abhadrani, whatever material desires are there, they'll all go away. Like that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Alrighty. So Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Shraddha Mataji. It was an exceptionally good class.
Alrighty, thank you so much for making it exceptional.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat.
Thank you so much.
Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Vaishana Mataji. Good to see you there. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna, Hare Bol.
Thank you so much.
Hare Bol,
Goodbye.
Dandavat Pranam. Okay, so dear devotees who are watching us on Facebook and who are watching us on Zoom, I will now switch off the Zoom call also. Hare Krishna, Vaishana Mataji. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Hare Bol.